We are the New York Knicks. I'm back. Back in New York. Well, it's the Knicks. New York. We are the New York Knicks. New Yorkers. For this new season we're about to enter, the Knicks taking no shorts just like winter.
New York, New York.
New York be about the Knicks, huh?
But the best thing about New York City is K-N-I-C-K-S.
Everybody say go New York, go New York, go!
Hey everybody, welcome to the New York Knicks podcast, episode 468, part of the Almighty Baller Podcast Network and Dash Radio, and also an affiliate of Ticket Club. So go to the NewYorkKnicksPodcast.com/Ticket Club, and you can get 10 to 20% off on tickets. They already have preseason games for next season up. So check that out.
Why wouldn't you just do that? Just to at least one time to get the 10 to 20% off. You're gonna buy tickets anyway. You might as well go and get the discount.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
are you Jay?
yeah.
How excited are you for the biggest game of the decade, July 5th?
July 5th is the Duke game, right?
The Duke game. Are you calling it the Duke game because Duke is playing Duke?
Pretty much.
Okay.
Does anybody care about anything except Zion versus Barrett?
I think we should just call this the NBA Finals.
It probably will be for the Knicks. So,
for those that are not aware, if you're living under a rock or don't follow NBA Summer League, it will be the kickoff of the Summer League, the Knicks Summer League affiliate, or is it an affiliate or just the Knicks?
The Knicks Summer League, yeah.
Team. Okay, the Knicks Summer League team will be playing the Pelicans Summer League team. It'll be Barrett versus Zion. It's kind of like Mike Tyson versus Holyfield if that event didn't count.
And nobody bit anybody's ears off.
Yes.
Probably.
Though
I'm going to guess that
Barrett,
nobody will.
Will you be more of a fan of Barrett if he bites Zion's ear off?
Definitely.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Or if a guy flies in with a helicopter. Didn't that happen also? Or am I thinking of a different fight? Wasn't there a Tyson fight where a guy came in flying in on some kind of contraption, like parachuting into the ring?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay, let's move on. I thought there was some fight, but maybe there wasn't. Anyway, the NBA draft happened. We should have had a show draft night, but I'm a jerk, and I went out that night and didn't get home in time, and we're doing a show today.
Yeah, so we got through the draft. It wasn't very surprising from a Knicks standpoint.
It was awesome from a Knicks standpoint.
Yeah, I mean, everyone pretty much thought the Knicks were going to get Barrett, and they did. So
the only thing more awesome that could have happened would have been if the Pelicans somehow spelled Zion Williamson's name wrong and somehow didn't get him, and then Memphis wasn't paying attention, so he fell to the Knicks. That would have been more awesome. But are you happy the Knicks didn't try to the Knicks didn't pretend they were the smartest guys in the room and try to go oh, we're gonna be cute here and take this other guy because we think we know more than everyone else.
Right, the Lakers who with the 11th pick grabbed? Was it the Lakers?
There were a lot of weird things in this.
There was
draft.
a guy who was projected 30th and he got taken at 11th.
The Phoenix Suns took Cameron Johnson, who was projected 33rd. They took him with the 11th pick. He wasn't even in the green room. The Phoenix Suns, let's go through the draft a little bit. The Phoenix Suns, what in God's name that franchise is doing, I have no idea.
They didn't have a point guard, and a point guard was on the board, and then they took a non-point guard and a guy who was projected 20-something picks later.
Yeah, and Cameron Johnson's probably going to be a decent player. I don't know if he'll be a rotation player. He was an okay pick to have taken 29th, not 11th. That's why it was a very weird draft.
I mean, if they really wanted him, couldn't they have just traded back?
Yeah, you would think maybe they tried to do that. They had no offers, and they were like, we still think he's the guy.
I don't know. There was so many teams that swapped picks and traded forward and back.
Let's talk about the Knicks briefly and then go into the draft. So the Knicks, obviously they took Barrett, and
they also
what I wanted to say was the Knicks worked out a couple guys right before the draft. They worked out Darius Garland, and people got a little bit nervous. The Knicks were going to take Garland because Garland's story, he was he was a big prospect coming out of high school, but he only played 5 games last year at Vanderbilt. He's supposed to be a really great shooter. There's some other questions about his game, but he would if the Knicks picked 4 or 5, he would have been a great pick if Barrett was off the board. But it just seemed like it would have been a weird move the Knicks were making when people were just saying Barrett, he's the number 3 pick, he's a lot of talent, he has the highest ceiling here. You'd be crazy not to take him.
Barrett also impressed me with the interview. It seemed like he really wanted to be in New York. The crowd finally did not boo a Knicks draft pick, which was cool.
Everyone cheered. It was great.
Although I do have to say, do we have to show shitty crying kid every year now? That's our thing.
I do think it's funny how ESPN just trolled the Knicks, where it was the Knicks needs, and it just said everything. It was just like, what is that? I don't
it said everything, and then parentheses it said starters and bench.
It was just a complete lie, as we have one player.
Yeah, we don't
so
need
we
a
need
starting
14
center.
others.
Yeah.
What would have been a great? What would other ESPN possible headlines or possible things they could have said?
Needs a new owner.
Yeah, needs and just has the word competence. Needs and just has an angel praying. Yeah, so that part happened. There was some hope, or not hope, sorry. The hope's not good. There was some thought that the Knicks might try to trade Ntilikina, get another first-round pick or a second-round pick. Are you happy they kept Ntilikina?
I'm neutral on it. I mean, he's still young. He's still on a rookie contract, so it's not like we got to get rid of this guy. Now, if he's not good this year, they got to move him next year, or I guess just not.
Or they sign him to a reasonable contract. If
he's not good next year, this coming year, then I don't.
You can sign him to a small contract and keep going with him if you still think he might develop.
I think by the end of next year, we'll know.
You should be somewhere near. You should have some clue by the end of next year. I do agree with that.
Yeah, I think 3 years is a good sample size. I know he's young, but if the guy isn't showing improvement 3 straight years, then maybe move on.
Well, maybe that 4th year he'll be an all-star. I don't necessarily believe in Ntilikina, but I think I don't know if I'd believe in any of the second-round picks enough to take him over him.
Yeah, no, I was totally fine giving him another chance. He's still, 20, 21?
Yeah, so then they traded up. They could have had Kyle Guy, which would have been were you even excited just for that nickname, that guy's name? Just like, they put a guy in the game now. Knicks don't know what they're doing. They just put a guy in the game.
Every time he's bad, you'd be like, come on, guy.
Come on. This is the guy we're playing with? This is the guy that's going to shoot the last shot for us? So they put in they traded up, and they got Iggy. I think they only got this guy because they knew I can't pronounce his last name. But
it's a Knicks rule that we have to draft one guy every year that Mark can't pronounce.
Iggy, what do you think? Brad's.
I'm gonna go with Iggy Bradakis.
Okay.
I'm just gonna skip the Z.
So he is from Lithuania. So that's sounds a lot like Latvia, where KP was from. So he was like played for Michigan, had a great freshman year. He led the big, what do they play in? Big East? Not Big East. They play in whatever conference that they're in. He led them in, he led Michigan in scoring. That's what it was. He had a great freshman year. There's a lot of potential there.
I thought it was a solid pick.
Yeah. I mean, second round's always like a crapshoot anyway. They got him pretty late in the draft. If he ends up being a solid player, then great.
And then I go to bed, and then I find out the Knicks got 3 more players.
Yeah, well, you knew they were going to grab some other like non-drafted free agents.
I didn't think they were going to grab 3 others. I mean, that's a
why not?
lot of moving.
There's nothing on this roster. Why not just sign some other guys? See what happens.
Oh, no, I'm not complaining. I was surprised to wake up and find out that the Knicks ended up getting 5 guys on draft night. Yeah,
they got this guy Chris Wilkes, who I know nothing about. Got a 2-way deal. They got Amir Hinton. With the story was he's from a Division II school, and not a lot of guys come out of Division II. He looks pretty good in highlights, and maybe he can find like a diamond in the rough, basically some guy that's really like outstanding in Division II, which usually doesn't get draft picks.
Mm-hmm. Chris Wilkes was McDonald's All-American.
Okay, there's something.
Yeah.
I mean, as we've seen with Alonzo Trier, you can get something in the second round. As we've seen with Van Vliet, who was an undrafted free agent, he became a big-time player in the finals. So it's worth it. So the Knicks, I think generally it was a solid draft. They didn't trade to get any draft. I would have liked to seen them maybe try to buy a second-round pick.
Yeah, I mean, they used the cash to move up. So I think that's what happened.
Okay. But let's see. We want to talk about the draft a little bit and talk about what you thought of the overall draft. So it starts off with Zion going. So what do you think of? Obviously, Zion is the move to make for the Pelicans. What do you think of what their next move? They traded.
Oh wait, before we do that, the other guy, the Knicks got.
Yeah.
Amir Hinton. He was the Division II scoring leader.
Yeah. Didn't I just say that?
Did you?
Are you? What are you doing while I'm talking?
Looking up who Hinton is.
Yes. So he was Division II. He looked pretty good in highlights. He's 6'5", a point guard.
Yeah.
We need point guards, so
gotta catch them all.
Well, whatever. What do the Knicks have? They don't really have. We have Dennis Smith Jr., who I guess is our starting point guard. We're praying Moody is not on the team. What else you got at point guard? You got Ntilikina, who's not really a point guard. Or I don't know, maybe he's a point guard. Who the heck knows?
The Knicks lead the league in having point guards who aren't really point guards.
I mean, the Knicks lead the league in the whole roster is a waste. It's a post-apocalyptic wasteland. So great, let's just add some more players and see what happens.
Well, it's like a whole roster of tweeners. He's a forward, but he's not really a forward, and this guy's a center, but he's not really. Look at this point guard; he's not really a point guard. It's the Knicks.
Well, people have been talking about the how long is this rebuild going to happen? We have to finally get good. The rebuild it always seems like the rebuild just started. I think that what Phil Jackson did to this franchise, not that whatever, but what he did, it's going to take a number of years to really fully rebuild out of that.
Well, it's also there's been a number of times where the Knicks seem like they're starting a rebuild and then blow up the rebuilds before it really gets
so they
underway.
draft like a guy at number 4. He's supposed to be their star, and then they just get rid of him.
Yeah, or a couple before they got Melo, they had all those young players, and then no, we'll get rid of all of them. We don't need to wait 3 months for Melo. And
I think the Knicks are going to be forced into a real rebuild because it seems like no free agents are coming here. So
it's been now rumored that Irving and Durant are credibly linked to Brooklyn.
Well, I will tell you this. For all those people that are going to be upset by that, I guarantee RJ Barrett scores more points next year than Kevin Durant.
And really, you don't want Kyrie on the team. I know people still do for some reason, but listen to any Boston fan. They're happy to get rid of Kyrie.
If you're the Nets, why do you want... I mean, I understand if it's a package. If you think getting Kyrie gets you Durant, there's the argument, makes sense. But for him coming himself, Boston wasn't that great with him. Why do you want him? He was a malcontent in Boston. Why is this going to work out any better for you?
I think it might be the package deal.
Yeah, the package deal at least makes some sense to me. Not a package deal. I don't know why the Nets. In theory, you have D'Angelo Russell, who had a solid year for the Nets last year. Will probably cost a little bit less, and he's younger, and he's not he's not injury prone at this point in his career. He could play a full season,
and he doesn't seem like a maniac.
He does. Did you see the Celtics drafted a guy that's he just got a proof about the world being round?
He what?
Did you Celtics? I'll find this story for you. Celtics draft pick was an outspoken round earther.
Is he just doing that just to troll Kyrie?
He did this. So apparently,
I mean, do you need to be outspoken about the Earth being round?
I don't know, but apparently he's an outspoken the world is round.
I mean, that kind of confuses me, but okay.
So the Celtics used their 22nd pick on Grant Williams from Tennessee. He's skilled undersized forward and the son of a NASA safety engineer. Here's what it is. He said previous knowledge of space and physics and third grade astronomy has convinced Grant Williams that the Earth is in fact spherical.
Okay, so he's definitely trolling Kyrie.
Yeah, but he's basically just trolling him. But it's just funny because in an interview he's like the flat Earth thing is completely untrue. The Earth is round, which I just think is funny that the draft pick said that. I mean, that's like, we know he's not coming back at this point. We're not even pretending he's coming back anymore.
Yeah.
We got our draft pick is trolling him.
That's awesome.
Okay, so anything else you want to say about the Knicks?
It looks like Summer League is actually going to be exciting because now we have 5 guys to check out.
So the Knicks every year is there's like 5 games of Summer League that are exciting, then 82 games of the NBA season which are not, then 5 games of
Come on, we're usually happy the first 5 games of the season.
So the Nets might get Durant and Kyrie. Tell me why this is not a good idea for the Nets.
They have momentum. They're a playoff team right now, so you might be making your team worse on the hopes that Durant comes back healthy and Kyrie isn't a maniac.
In theory, Durant is 2 years away from being Durant.
And you're going to have to give up a bunch of players to make room for Durant. So they're going to semi-blow up the team for a team that's definitely going to stink this year and might just stink altogether.
Right. The Durant, so this injury he has with Achilles, they say it takes 1 year to actually be able to play basketball and then another year to really get back to where you were before.
And then he's 33, right?
33. He will have lost a little bit from his game.
I know we're saying all this, but I would still take Durant on the Knicks. But since he's not going to come to the Knicks, then we could talk bad about the situation.
In some ways, I think the Knicks are dodging a bullet because this really is a dumb decision, signing a guy that's injured for an entire season at this age with this major of an injury. If we were not in desperation horror show of a franchise, we would say this is stupid. San Antonio Spurs would laugh at this. They go, we know what winning is. We know how to win. This is a stupid move. We would never make this move. But Knicks, you guys are in a black hole abyss of a franchise, and you're like, we'll just go for this.
Yeah. So maybe this will happen to the Nets, and we'll get to see how it plays out, and maybe it doesn't work, and then we'll be happy vicariously because we're not there.
I mean, I couldn't wish any worse for the Nets. I wish things work out as well as their dumb nickname.
Yeah. I mean, I don't want to see Durant's career derailed, but I do want to see the Nets derailed. So
if he signs with the Nets, I want his career to be down. I'm a bitter person. I don't have to tell you. I want his career to go downhill if he signs with the Nets. I expect next season, if they sign Kyrie and gut their roster for Durant, the season will be miserable with Kyrie pouting half the season, being just complaining about the players on the team, complaining about how much losing they're doing, and then they're going to get Durant back, who's going to be hobbled, and he will not be as good as hope right away, and Nets fans will lose their mind.
Yeah.
Do you think next year Kyrie on a terrible team is going to be a good formula?
For us.
Yeah, it's going to be a really, really bad team for them. They're going to take away. I guess you still have. I don't know how many players they have to get rid of. They have to clear some cap space to clear some players to get Durant on this team and Kyrie on this team. You may still have Dinwiddie. You may still have who's the other guy?
Jared Allen.
What did you say?
Jared Allen.
Well, Jared Allen. No, who's the other guy that got injured also?
LeVert.
They might have. If you have those players, they're solid players. I just think this team is going to be. It's going to be a lot worse next year. And they're going to have to deal with a whole losing season with Kyrie pouting the whole season. It's going to be trouble. I say this because I'm wishing just terrible things to happen to them because they're taking away our joy and they're taking away our hope basically. They're stealing the basketball and not letting us play.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the draft real quick.
Okay.
So the Pelicans, they took Zion. Obviously, that's a good move.
Least shocking draft pick of all time.
Yeah, I mean, there have been other draft picks just as not shocking. But do you think just the draft coverage alone? Do you think the fact they do? Bill Simmons talked about this. They only do 5 minutes between picks. Well, I want the draft to go fast. Doesn't that kind of take away a little bit, like from what the ESPN announcers can even talk about?
See, while I was watching it, I thought it was a good amount of time because they showed some clips, they interviewed the guy real quick, and then the next pick was coming up. But then Bill Simmons was saying he heard from people connected to teams that 2 trades almost happened, but they ran out of time. And so if we're missing out on potential trades here, then I'm thinking, yeah, maybe we should do like 10 minutes.
It's also like Zion gets drafted, and they spend the 5 minutes that Morant are going to be drafted talking about Zion. I would like to see them preview the guys that could be in the draft. Like you should spend once Zion, you should talk about Zion, do the highlights for him. You know he's going first anyway. Then you should spend the next time going highlights of Morant, talk about his game. I don't know. It seems like there's no preview of the guy of who the next team is going to take.
Right.
Which I feel like the NFL does that a little more in their draft. Like there's a little more of a preview of who they might take, and like.
Wouldn't it have been extra depressing though if they keep doing okay? Let's show clips of the best player available. It's ball, and then 20 picks later, we ran out of footage of ball. We've showed every moment of his career.
Were you online on Twitter when the draft's going on? Because what I understand is like Shams and who's the other one?
Woj.
Yeah, they were dropping the draft picks before they came out.
Were they?
Yeah, supposedly they would get like the word of some of the draft picks beforehand, and they would just drop them. Which I understand if you're telling them who the draft pick is, but what's the point of watching the thing if you're going to tell who the draft pick is ahead of time?
How was Woj doing that while he was actually there and like on TV?
I don't know. I don't know if it was Woj. Simmons talked about this on a show. And I don't want to like. We're not a podcast just about doing Simmons' show. We're just doing highlights of Simmons' show. But he talked about that and it just seemed insane to me.
Yeah, that's a little weird.
Okay, so. What do you think of?
I was on Twitter, and I spent an hour just refreshing ball searches, and every time a pick happened and it wasn't ball, everyone was just going nuts. Whatever team was up next their fan base was happy that they were going to get him, and then super disappointed the next pick when they passed on them. It was very entertaining.
It was really weird because Ball is huge. He's Manute Bol's son. He was considered possibly a top 5 pick coming into the season. Has a major injury, but at the same time, if Zion Williamson suffered a major injury, maybe he goes number 10. Ball fell to 44?
44.
Why did he fall? I mean, I imagine the medicals did not look good.
They passed out the medicals right before the workouts, which was like a day or two before the draft. I also heard that he has a bad attitude, and there was a coach that said he had the worst attitude of any player he's ever come across ever.
Okay.
So, you combine an attitude, effort, and injury all together. And then you're like, well, maybe I don't even want to take a chance on this guy. And apparently every team in the league said that at least once.
The take on him, so he's was he 7'3"?
I've heard 7'2", I've heard 7'3".
Okay. So we're on next show we're gonna measure him. We get him on the show. Do you mind if we measure you? But
it almost seems like you can just tell them what you want to be. Because I heard forever that Kevin Garnett was 7 feet, but he always told everyone to list him as 6'11", so it didn't sound as intimidating. He wanted to throw opponents off.
I thought he was 6'11". Is he 7 foot?
I think he's 7 foot, and he kept telling everyone to list him at 6'11", so people underestimated him.
Anyway, so Bull, the story on him, offensively, he's supposed to be gifted. He's supposed to be a great shooter. Great shooter for a big man. He gets rebounds, and he had a bunch of blocks in college. But people just say he was crap on defense. Mm-hmm. The effort, the instincts weren't there. The effort wasn't there on defense. He got a bunch of blocks because of his size, but you're in college. But no one thinks he'll translate as a defender in the NBA. And if you're that tall, the center position alone has been really undervalued now.
Yeah,
people aren't going even though it's great. The one position everyone's really undervaluing these days is the only position the Knicks have.
That's good, right?
Yeah. So not undervalued. I don't know if undervaluing is the correct term. Yes, because people don't give a crap about center anymore, and that's the one position we have.
We might have a mini center resurgence soon if the league keeps going all small ball.
Yeah, so the league is going small ball. So Bowl is, it was 10 years ago, he probably got a higher selection. But the combination of not being a rim protector or not being seen as a great defender, the injury issue, I guess the attitude, he had a historically big drop.
Yeah, they invited him to the green room, which is usually you have to be a lock. For like at least top 20 to get invited to the green room, and he left. He left the green room after the first round. I guess I don't blame him because he was sitting there for like an hour alone.
I was really hoping he'd fall to the Knicks at that point. I was like, why not take a shot on him?
I thought he was just going to go undrafted, and then the Knicks would have picked him up for like $20.
Taco Fall won an undrafted 7-7 guy.
Yeah,
and I've yet to hear if has he signed anywhere.
Yeah, he did.
Where'd he sign?
He signed with Boston, I think.
No. So also Denver traded for Bol Bol, which is interesting because that means Bol Bol is not going to play. They already have a center.
Yeah.
He would have been better off being to a team where there was a real maybe he could step in there, but I guess he's gonna be injured anyway. I don't know what his timeline is, but it doesn't seem like a great situation with him. With the center, they have one of the better centers in the league.
Yeah, I don't know. Some of the things that happened this week is just hard to figure out.
I mean, yeah. So, what was I going to say? So that happened. So I guess the first question I have for you is the Pelicans, the big trade. They traded the number 4 pick. I guess would you have traded? They traded the 4 pick for the 8 or 10, 17? Was it did they give the 8 pick?
It was 8, 17, 35, and I think a pick next year.
Okay, so would you? They're saying here also. I'm just looking at. They think can Bol start alongside Jokic? Do you think they could start next to each other? I just don't think you're going to play that kind of.
I thought he was on the Celtics.
No, I'm talking about Jokic. I'm just talking about Denver for a second. Bol.
Oh, Bol.
Yeah. To me, it doesn't Do you think Jokic what you need next to him is a 7-foot center that can't play defense?
No, but is Bol going to start? Or
no, the question. I mean, the point of drafting him, I guess maybe he's going to be a backup center. I don't know. The point of drafting him is you feel like maybe he could step in there.
I don't know. I feel like second rounders, you're looking to fill out bench pieces.
Yeah. And they got Michael Porter last year. Denver has some interesting guys, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, so going back to...
So would I have done the 4 for the 4 draft picks?
Yeah.
If I didn't think Garland or White was what I wanted, why not get 4 other guys?
Yeah, I mean...
Especially if I thought, there's a guy I want at number 8, and I don't think he's going to be any worse than the number 4 guy, and I'm going to get all these other draft picks. Why not?
I mean, the Hawks traded up, and they drafted DeAndre Hunter, and I'm like, oh, you traded all that to get Hunter?
Yeah, I feel like they could have just got him.
Yeah, I feel like Garland and Culver are at least a little more interesting picks. Hunter's going to be a fine player, but he doesn't seem like a guy that has the real high ceiling that you'd want to have traded 5 draft picks for. On the other hand, I'm like, if you're rebuilding your roster, you have the 1 pick and the 4 pick, maybe just take guys there and see how it goes.
I don't know. I mean, they're pretty much redoing their entire roster, so maybe it is good to get 4 or 5 guys. Like I said, if you don't think Garland's going to be that good, you already have Holiday. It's not.
But then you drafted Cam Reddish, who's not going to be that good, so he's unexciting at 10, and then from there, whatever. It was also super confusing during the draft when they're like, Hunter's being drafted by the Lakers, and you're like, the Lakers don't have that pick. What are you talking about?
Yeah, they would always say they proposed the trade, but you don't. I'm like, well, I know they proposed it. Did it go through, or they left it as a proposed for an hour? And I'm like, I kind of want to know if it actually is going to happen.
Can't we it's kind of just let Anthony Davis trade happen? All these trades should just happen. Don't they have them be in this weird limbo state?
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel like if I'm the Pelicans, I probably.
Why can't you make a trade? As soon as the last game of the finals happens, everyone should be able to make trades again. It doesn't matter. The finals are over. Make trades.
Yeah, I don't know. They have a lot of weirdness with like the collective bargaining agreement or how this all works.
Did we talk about how the Lakers screwed up the trade?
Oh yeah, you want to talk about that?
I definitely do. Yeah.
Okay. So the Lakers are being run by an agent who doesn't know how salary cap works.
So we were talking about how the Lakers probably gave up too much last episode.
Yeah.
And that was before we found out that they also made a huge blunder. So their whole thing is they want to get 2 other maxes to play with LeBron.
Well, they want to have they got Anthony Davis. They want to have one other max player.
Right. So they thought they were going to have $32 million in cap space, not realizing that they have to do the Anthony Davis trade after July 30th for that to happen because of some weird cap rules that
Do you think they did not know that they did know this, or they? So one of the things was they want Anthony Davis to waive his $4 million trade kicker, and I think the understanding is Anthony Davis found out $4 million is a lot of money, so he's just going to keep it.
Well, that, and I guess the average person's not going to know about that rule about July 30th, but if you run an NBA team, you definitely should know that. So now it looks like they're going to have $23 million. Instead
so they
have
the other issue was they have a bunch of players that if they can move them, they can create another $4 or $5 million cap space. But who's going to help the Lakers?
Well, they only have 5 guys on the roster, and the 3 guys they would have to move are the 2 guys they would have to move. Nobody even knows who they are, and then you got Kuzma, who you kind of want to keep. So basically, because they agreed to the trade, and the Pelicans said no, we're not going to wait till the 30th. That the Lakers are not going to have enough money for another max guy.
Well, the Lakers, they probably should just say, the Pelicans don't want this to fall through, but the Lakers should just say, like, we'll give you, like, another number 1 draft pick, like, to make this through.
They might. I mean, they might throw something in.
I mean, they should, or else they're stuck with, it really hurts not that signing, like, Jimmy Butler was the key to this team, but, like, it probably makes a lot more sense than who you're going to sign for $23 million.
Yeah.
Anyway, so they're considered a bit of a. Pelinka's not looking great again, even though he got Anthony Davis and he's got LeBron, so that looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's kind of weird that the guy who got LeBron James and Anthony Davis looks like a complete moron.
I mean, I do agree with you that the team may not be as good as everyone hopes because you really have to fill out that roster with like spare parts going forward. And the fact that Anthony Davis is going to play 60 games this year and like LeBron James probably going to only play like 65 games, like they're both going to miss a chunk of games.
And that's the thing. You can do really good with just those 2 guys on your team, but you're going to ask them to play insane minutes. And at this stages of their career, do you want to take that chance of them playing that much?
I mean, well, isn't Anthony Davis like 26? So at this stage of his career, like he's just like he's like fragile.
Yeah, this stage of his career being he's one of your 2 players, so you don't want to wear him out and get him injured.
Yeah, you have to do like Kawhi Leonard only played like 60 games for Toronto this year because they did the whole load management thing, and you really want to probably do that with these guys, which is going to really hurt you for playoff position, I guess.
And Kawhi said that helped immensely with his playoff performance. He basically said that he would not have been able to do what he did in the playoffs if he didn't take 20 games off and minutes management and all that stuff.
I don't think it's it's annoying for a fan that goes to the game, but I don't think it's a crazy thing for guys to take nights off so they can be better in the playoffs.
Oh, I don't either. I'm just saying the Lakers don't have that option now.
Yeah.
They might miss the playoffs if they take too many games off.
Well, the big thing is that if one of them doesn't play, they're going to have a tough time winning games. And that's really the big issue.
And
like this team might have a lot of trouble getting to 60 wins is not happening for this team. Getting to 50 wins might be tough.
You can argue that the West is now worse with Durant and Thompson out, but the West is still really good, and there's still like 10 good teams. So you can't be they're not going to get a free ride to the playoffs, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah, I agree with you there. It's going to be a tough grind for them, and I hope this doesn't work out well for the Lakers.
Yeah.
I'm not going on a limb saying that I think most people hope this doesn't work out for the Lakers.
What do you think of the Celtics looking like they're semi-blowing up their roster? They traded Baines, who was going to be their center now that Horford said he's not coming back, and now they don't have Baines.
What happened to the Celtics? Where did they go wrong? The Celtics had all these assets. It seemed like they were really cashing them in. They got Kyrie. They got Hayward the sign here. It seemed like the team was finally they almost made the finals last year. It seemed like this team was on the verge, and now they're falling apart.
I think Hayward's injury kind of set off this chain of events that was. I mean, his injury made it so that Kyrie was, I guess, asked to. I don't know if he was asked to do too much or he tried to do too much without anybody asking.
But they were really good without those two players. I feel like the worst thing that happened to them was Hayward getting injured, but the second worst thing that happened to them was Hayward coming back.
Do you think that since Hayward was injured and all the young guys played a lot of minutes deep into the playoffs, that they actually got kind of pissed off when he came back and their minutes went down and he wasn't playing well? And they just kept playing him, and they're like, well, I did good in the playoffs, and he sucks in the regular season. Like, why am I not playing right now?
I think I do agree with you. I think guys expect to be rewarded for all their hard work in the playoffs. Like Terry Rozier, I mean, I guess with Kyrie coming back was like, I played my heart out for you, and now I'm a bench player that you guys don't care about. That's great. I'm going to suck this season. Thank you.
So I think you had resentment from the young guys. You had Kyrie just being Kyrie. Hayward never really recovered from his injury.
You almost wanted to move on from Hayward and Kyrie right there. That would have been the time to move on from them instead of like now where you have Horford leaving.
Kyrie for nothing, yeah.
Yeah, no, it's a tough situation when you had a team that seemed like they were developing without those guys, and now you bring those guys back in the mix and suddenly the team gets worse.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, the Celtics traded down like 7 times during the draft, so
Baines actually looked pretty good last year, so it's surprising they got rid of him.
Well, he was injured a lot, so maybe they're just like, let's just go away from all our injury-prone players.
Well, they cleared a lot of salary cap, so I think they have enough. I think they have enough for a max player, but there aren't enough max players to go around.
Do you think they know something?
I mean, that's what you always think because they're really smart, but
they made a lot of moves to clear up this max cap space for seemingly no reason.
But who's coming there?
I don't know.
I mean, Kyrie's not coming back. You're signing Kemba? Like, what's going on? There aren't that many good players out there. They're gonna be moving around.
Yeah, I have no idea. I feel like this looks calculated. This doesn't look like a random Knicks, like, we'll just create cap space and hope for the best. Like, I feel like they
you
really
don't think they would just like take their best player and just trade in the clear cap space because guys are coming here?
Oh my God.
I don't know. It does look calculated. I don't know what they're doing. Their big thing right now, their only path to success right now, I feel like, is Jaylen Brown and Tatum living up to expectations.
Yeah.
Those guys, because like take the next step they were supposed to take this year, then they're fine. If they don't, then I don't know where the Celtics are going.
Okay, this could affect the Knicks. Why does Utah hate Rubio so much?
Oh, because you think the Knicks might sign Rubio?
I think they should, or they could.
Well, Mike Conley, they traded for Conley, right?
Yeah, they traded for Conley. Yeah. So, which
Conley's
means it doesn't look good for
Rubio
if they're getting Conley. I guess he is, but he makes like 3 times as much, and he's older. So
yeah, but they want to make everyone's the good. What happened with Golden State is Golden State goes down,
and now everybody thinks they can win the championship.
The West is now up for grabs. We need to all go all in, and so teams now like we really need to get better because up to this point it didn't really matter because the West wasn't up for grabs. Now we have to say, hey, Donovan Mitchell, are we great? We're happy you're developing, but now we have to kind of win these goddamn games.
Right.
So you want Mike Conley, even though he's older, he's a better player than Rubio. He's a major upgrade over Rubio. Okay,
so that being said, would you like the Knicks to make a run at Rubio?
Oh, I mean, if you'll take a 1-year deal, he can have $20 million for a year. We have to use our cap space for something.
You wouldn't want Rubio long term?
No. Why would you want Rubio long term? How old is he now?
I'm gonna guess. I'm gonna look it up, but I'm gonna guess 28.
I was gonna say 29, but how old is he?
He is.
By the way, I was
28.
listening to 28. Okay. So there's a whole thing about the Knicks talking about maybe getting D'Angelo Russell. We were talking about last show.
Yeah.
Apparently, there's no actual link here. The only link here is just Knicks fans have been talking this up.
Yeah.
There's no rumor. It's just that we're like, what about this guy? And everyone Knicks world is like, what about this guy? Well, I'd rather give big money to Russell. Rubio's a fine player. We need a point guard. I don't know. He wasn't good enough for Minnesota to keep. He wasn't good enough for Utah to keep. I don't think the Knicks should go after him. I don't think the Knicks are. I'm happy for a 1-year deal. I don't think the Knicks should give him a big deal.
He's been making about $14 million.
Okay, so let's just say $14 million for do you want to keep cap flexibility going forward?
Do
you like to keep your cap space open in case Anthony Davis wants to sign with us next year?
Yeah, that'll happen.
I remember all season I was saying there's negative 20% that Kevin Durant was signed here. I finally started believing Durant was signed here, and of course now he's not going to.
Yeah.
Of course he tears his ACL, and then decides he's not going to sign here.
I mean, in Ricky Rubio's defense, he was in bad situations. Like Minnesota was a mess the whole time he was there.
Garbage. I agree with you. What do you think about it? Do you think the Knicks
he got to Utah, and then they're like, "Oh, you're going to be the man," and then like, "Oh no, wait, we got Donovan Mitchell, so now he's the man."
Well, in fairness, they didn't know Donovan Mitchell would be that good.
No, I know, but it's still he just keeps getting into these situations.
So he's not a great shooter. He's never been a great shooter. That is frustrating.
Yes.
Do you want a point guard that can't shoot?
I don't, but he's a really good passer. I don't know. He's good on defense. I'm not saying that the Knicks should max him out or anything, but he's been making 12 to 14. I think that's not a bad deal for him.
I mean, I would just see if he would sign for like a 1-year deal or maybe a 2-year deal. I don't want to necessarily go for a 4-year deal for anyone who's not a star. I'd rather keep flexibility going forward because what's the point? What are we winning with him?
Mm-hmm.
It would be very nice for the rest of the team to have a competent point guard.
Yeah, I think it would help.
It would help a lot. I agree with you. And Dennis Smith, he's not taking the leap next year. I don't see him taking the leap next year. He could study. He could play alongside him, and he would develop. It would be helpful.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who else is out there in the point guard position? You're right. This wouldn't be a bad signing.
Yeah, I mean, it's him or Russell, right?
Would you rather him or Russell? And let's say Russell costs let's say he will sign with the Knicks for a 4-year, $100 million deal.
It's tough. I mean, Russell looked really good, but then in the playoffs he didn't. So, which one's the real Russell?
Well, he's 24, so he's young.
Yeah.
He could get better.
25 is that's a lot.
He's... In theory, I guess taking a younger player makes more sense. He's a better shooter than
4 years, 100. I would do it because it's not an impossible contract. This isn't like a Chris Paul contract. So
I guess if the Knicks aren't getting Durant, then they're probably not getting the Anthony Davis next year because what roster is he coming to? And next year free agent crop class kind of sucks.
I think Anthony Davis made it very clear he wants to play in LA.
Why? Because his agent forced the issue until he got there?
I mean, he's also linked to Space Jam 2.
That was the thing they were saying. I got the quotes. They'll talk about Bill Simmons again, but he was like, how about he waives his kicker and they just give him money on Space Jam 2?
Maybe that's the deal.
Why is that deal not happening?
Who knows? Maybe that is the deal.
Yeah, Rubio wouldn't be bad in free agency, I guess. I guess do you think this roster is held back by not having a good point guard?
I think any roster is held back by not having a point guard.
Yeah, which means that if you got a decent point guard here, maybe Knox looks better. It'd be helpful for Barrett in his first year.
I mean, it could help all the guys develop if they're getting really good looks.
And if you have him playing 30 minutes, let's say maybe he plays 28 minutes a game, and then Dennis Smith plays another 20 minutes a game, that'd be a solid mix where Dennis Smith could develop during that timeline.
Yeah. I kind of like it.
It's not a bad move. The more I've been thinking about it, as we've been talking about it, I don't think it's a bad move. Is there any linkage? Is anyone talking about it?
No, nobody's talking about it at all. I'm just looking. The Knicks still need a point guard. He's a point guard. He's clearly not coming back.
I guess it makes sense that the Knicks should, of all things, if you're going to bring a free agent in for any position, and you're not a non-all-star, should be a point guard.
Yeah.
What else makes sense for them?
Yeah, I mean, you need to have these guys develop, and if they're all just trying to play ISO or just getting shitty passes all day, it's not going to help anybody.
If you can get him for like 14 or 15 million a year, it's better than like them giving $8 million to Moutier.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that'll be a disaster bringing him back.
Yeah, let's not do that.
But do you think if they bring Rubio in, is that the end of Ntilikina?
Probably.
I guess.
But I mean, Rubio is not exactly the healthiest guy, so they're
you could still, I guess, have Rubio, have Ntilikina and Dennis Smith on the roster and just see how it goes.
Yeah, I mean, we're not 100% set on Dennis Smith either, so there's flexibility.
We're not 100% set on anyone not named Mitchell Robinson.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. What else was of note from the draft?
Let's see. Trying to see if there was any other interesting trades. There was a ton of switch the 50th pick for the 48th pick and stuff like that.
The Cleveland pick was I found weird. So I found Darius Garland picked by Cleveland kind of weird, only in the sense of hey, didn't you guys draft the point guard last year?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think Garland and Colin Sexton, who's your point guard? What's going on there? Are they going to play together?
Yeah, it's a good way to piss everybody off.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
considering they have so many holes in every position, why'd you have to do that?
Garland also is more of a scoring first point guard. Colin Sexton's more of a scoring first point guard. Both of them are pretty limited on the defensive end of the court. I don't know. It doesn't seem like a recipe for awesomeness.
Also, did you see the trade they made to get the 30th pick?
No, what did they do?
They wanted the 30th pick, so they traded 4 future second rounders.
Oh, yeah. What does it say? Go on.
I mean, the 30th pick is almost a second rounder, and then you're trading 4 second rounders for it. It's
4 second rounders to get Kevin Porter Jr. Porter, he may end up being a good player, but that's a lot to give away for him.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah, that was a weird trade. That was just we'll give you 2 second rounders. No. 3. No. 4. No. 5? It seems like how do you give so many draft second round picks for one pick?
Yeah.
Anything else in the draft that you found? I mean, Atlanta trading up to get Hunter also just seemed kind of mediocre to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. They have a path there. They have a plan there.
I just feel like they could have got Hunter with the 8th pick.
Yeah, I mean the 8th pick ended up going to. They took Hayes as a center, who's going to, I guess, play alongside
Zion.
No. Oh, the Pelicans are the 8th pick.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm thinking of the 10th pick. I'm thinking of the Radish. Yeah, sorry. Hayes alongside of Zion. That seems interesting.
Oh, the other one I want to talk about is the Suns traded away T.J. Warren, who scores 18 points a game, and the number 32 pick for cash.
I thought there was more to that trade, actually. You told me that a while. I thought there was actually more. Let me just double check.
No, the Pacers got Warren and the number 32 pick, and the Suns got cash.
Why did they do this?
I don't know. It was the best.
What are the Suns doing?
He was, there's I guess second best player if you want to say Devin Booker's their best player. So they traded their second best player, who's still fairly young, for cash.
Yeah, well, actually, their best player were their other who was the number 1 pick last year's draft?
Ayton.
But yeah, Ayton's probably their best player.
You think so?
He was very efficient. People were saying
on offense.
On offense,
train wreck on
play
defense.
Defense on that team?
No, they have one of the worst defensive teams ever.
Well, the theory on that team was that if Ayton got more touches, the team would have been better. And the fact that he was frustrated that he didn't get enough touches when he was like so efficient.
Because they don't have a point guard.
Right. I mean, they have lots of issues, but anyway. So Ayton had a pretty reasonable rookie year.
Okay, Ayton aside, like Warren's a good player.
Yeah, well, you don't give him away basically for nothing.
The weirdest.
He has a bad contract, or not a bad contract.
It's not even bad. He's making like what 12, 14 million a year.
Yeah,
for a guy who scores 18 points a game.
The Suns got to clear cap space because no one's signing. Someone's like, who's signing there?
I know. That was probably the most puzzling trade for me.
You know, the thing is, you look at the Suns and you say, who the hell's signing there? Why are they clearing cap space? They probably go, we have a better record than the Knicks. Why are they clearing cap space?
Well, people are more likely to go to New York than Phoenix.
Yeah. In theory, yes, I agree with that. But like any team that's a really bad team, why are they clearing cap space?
Yeah.
Generally, who signs with a really bad team?
Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant.
Well, they were a playoff team at least.
Oh yeah, that's right. No, yeah, if they're linked to the Nets, they're actually looking at better teams. Never mind.
Generally, team players don't go, hey, let me find the most garbage franchise and go sign with them. I mean, I guess Miami, when they cleared all that cap space for LeBron, Wade, and Bosh, but I don't remember what their record was the year before, but they also had cleared their entire team, and they had 3 guys that were like ready to come, or like 2 guys that were talked into by Wade to come there.
Yeah, it was like Haslam and Chalmers.
And they already had Wade, though. They already had like a Hall of Fame level player on the team, so that's why it worked out.
Yeah.
The Knicks or any of these teams were like, we have nothing in our roster besides cap space. I'm sure all these players are dying to sign here. Like, I'm sure Kyrie just says, hey, Durant, listen, I know we were going to sign with the Knicks, but, Brooklyn plays in New York. They're not a complete disaster of an organization. Let's sign there instead.
Right. We don't have to deal with James Dolan.
They seem like they know what they're doing. Brooklyn's hip now.
We can get all the Cal we want.
Yeah. I'm sure we can sign like a big free, marketing or big deal with like I don't know what's big in Brooklyn. The Hacky Sack Company,
Ultimate Frisbee.
Lots of microbrews.
Mm-hmm. Beard gel.
Yeah. That was a weird trade. Would you like the Knicks to have made that trade? Like, would you have wanted to take on Warren's contract?
Yeah.
I guess so. How much do you care about the cap space going? Like, do you think the Knicks are not going to get?
Warren only has 2 years, I believe, and it wasn't like a cap-killing contract. You could take him for a year, and you could definitely trade Warren at the end of next season with 1 year remaining and only like $12 million.
I guess free agency is going to start. How important it is the Knicks come out of the free agency having the ability to sign 2 max players next year? How important is that? And by the way, the Knicks have also said they're not going to. The reports are the Knicks are not going to let teams dump salary on them to give them like draft picks. Like, that was the other thing we were hoping was that the Knicks they would take a bad contract and like get a draft pick or get an asset with that bad contract. The Knicks apparently are not about this. Atlanta did this. I'm sorry, the Nets did this, and it helped them get better.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think you need 2 max. I mean, who are the 2 maxes that are going to come next year? You can't.
Well, apparently the list of free agents is not very good next year.
Yeah,
it's Anthony Davis and no one else really.
You can't go through every season having $60 million in cap space.
For now on, the Knicks just play every season like they're like, next year we're gonna have $60 million again. Next year, every year we're gonna have 2 max slots, and someday they'll come here.
Yeah, you just can't. You can't run a team like that. I think you should get at this point, if you're not getting who you wanted, you need to get as many draft picks as you can and hope one of them turns into the next All-Star.
The Knicks have to get a level. They have to. I think we're at the point where the Knicks have to turn their team into at least an 8th seed that be attractive to free agents.
Right. Yeah. Right now, why would you want to go there?
So the Knicks, they're not going to get the max free agents. We had the dream. It's not happening. So I do agree with trying to get draft picks and trying to make this franchise better. I don't like the idea of saying like, here, Chris Middleton, here's a max money.
Right.
It seems like basically we're gonna take our money, and sign Tim Hardaway Jr. again.
God. All right,
and then we're going to be like, oh, God, we have this contract again. Well, only once this contract clears, we'll be good.
All right, before we go, let's go through some emails. We got
emails and questions. Let's do that, yes.
Jorge writes, thoughts on the fact that every NBA final since 1947 has featured a player that has played for the Knicks. This year it's Jeremy Lin.
Is that true?
Now,
I'm sure it is true, but like, who was on Golden State's roster last year? Oh, wait, just the NBA final.
Yeah. It only had to be one of the two teams.
Not the team that wins the title. Okay, yeah, because JR was in there. I got that. Okay.
Yeah. That's interesting. I'd like to know if they were all on the Knicks before they made the finals, or are you counting a player that was on the finals and then came to the Knicks?
I think it's supposed to be before.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah. That's pretty amazing.
Or he writes, what would you say is the biggest disappointing off-season moment in Knicks history? You can't count Durant because that was during the season, wasn't off-season.
Signing Bargs?
The Bargs trade is definitely up there.
Sorry, trading for him, yeah.
McDyess got injured in off-season, right?
Yeah.
That was preseason, I think.
I think so. But, okay, that counts.
Seeing Billups and knowing that Amari was going to get injured.
I mean, I don't know why they that was such a stupid thing. I don't know why they picked up Billups' contract. It made no sense at the time.
No,
there was no mind. It was just like the Knicks checked the wrong box accidentally.
Yeah, I don't get it. Okay, so I think that's our top three. I would probably go with Bargs just because we had a feeling it was. Oh no, that was an off season though. That was during the season.
No, right? Bargs was off season.
The trade was off season.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I might have to go with that then.
Yeah, that has to be because that also it seemed like we were on the verge of being good, and then that just sunk our team.
Yeah.
Next email.
Lorenzo writes, hey guys, the quiet little seaside Australian town I live in just announced LaMelo Ball has signed up for our team. The next 12 months will be such a shit show circus when that clown of a dad turns up. If the Knicks sign KD and go for a tanking season, then the potential number one pick in next year's draft is LaMelo Ball. Is that what you want? I normally don't watch college or high school hoops, but I can be your man on the street if the Knicks tank again and LaMelo is looking good here. I don't think there's any chance LaMelo is going to be a top draft pick.
Is he supposed to be? I thought that he was supposed to not be good.
Yeah, I thought he is like a really inefficient scorer who doesn't play defense.
Oh, so the Knicks are going to take him?
Yeah, I don't think.
Please be our man on the ground there. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I want updates if that crazy dad shows up and just starts going nuts.
Yeah, if you can get an interview, that'd be amazing.
Okay. Oh, our email is nyknickspodcast@gmail.com. Jorge writes, did you guys see that little homo that cried when they drafted KP at the draft? Fuck that kid.
Do we really want to use the word homo? Is that I think that's not PC anymore. Not that I care about PC, but I feel like people have stopped saying that.
Jorge said it. I didn't say it.
Okay.
I hate that kid, and I think we really should stop showing him on TV.
Yeah. Everyone basically...
He's a clown.
Why do they have to always troll the Knicks?
We don't need to show that kid anymore. He's a clown.
Hey, what do you think is... I heard this asked somewhere else, and they said, what's the worst draft pick in Knicks history? Is Weiss the worst draft pick in Knicks history? Or is there anyone worse?
Jordan Hill was the number 6.
The Knicks traded him away immediately.
And wasn't he like a stretch at the time?
Yeah, he was a stretch at the time. He was pretty bad, though. Yeah, you're right. He wasn't good.
That was...
Weiss was over our test. That seemed kind of stupid.
Yeah.
I forget who the Knicks should have taken instead of Hill. But Hill was a pretty bad pick also.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that was a stretch even at the time. I mean, the very next pick was DeRozan. A pick after that was Brandon Jennings, who had a few good years.
I mean, the only problem with that pick, the only reason I don't say that pick is worse, because the Knicks, because they were clearing space for LeBron, and he came here, obviously, they were going to trade whoever that pick was pretty fast.
Well, the thing is, we had point guard problems. So after Jordan Hill was Brandon Jennings, Drew Holiday, Ty Lawson, Jeff Teague, Darren Collison. I mean,
oh my God.
I mean, even Taj Gibson and Damari Carroll were all taken after that.
Yeah, that was a really bad pick. That was horrible.
There were so many point guards available. So maybe Jordan Hill.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Barron writes, "Hey guys, I know we all had our heart set on Zion, but I honestly believe Barrett will be the better player down the line. Here's why. I never wish injury on anyone, but between his playing style and his body type, I've always had serious doubts about his ability to stay healthy long term. If you take away all the hype, and I kind of see a shorter version of Blake Griffin, and maybe even a more athletic version of Ben Simmons. Granted, both are good, if not great players. Barrett's skill set is more suitable for today's NBA. He's a better shooter and playmaker, and more likely to make the players around him better. We probably have at least one more season of sucking, which will be rough, I know. But you both have been saying for some time now that you want to build through the draft. This is what it looks like. Love the show. Don't ever stop."
Yeah, this is building for the draft. It really is. It's just. I wish the Knicks had built for the draft on the first year we done the show, not like a decade into the show.
I mean, there is a point there. I would not be surprised if Zion had an injury history going forward.
He's he's going to be the second heaviest person in the NBA. He's a big guy. Like, it just seems like, and he's obviously highly athletic. You're right. He seems like an injury that possibly is waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Like, those knees are taking a lot of force right now.
Well, I hope Aaron's right. Marcus writes, "Hi guys, what do you think our power forward rotation will be at the start of next season? Cheers."
Okay, so our power forwards on this roster right now, I guess Lance Thomas has been cut, right?
Yeah, but he might come back.
He might come back. I guess so with Lance Thomas, Kevin Knox, who's kind of a power forward. Barrett's not a power forward, right? He's small forward,
He's
right?
small forward.
Or guard.
I don't know. The Knicks might get back Vonleh.
They might what?
Vonleh?
Oh, I guess.
Maybe.
Do you want Vonleh back?
Right now, the Knicks don't have a power forward.
Yeah, they don't really have a power forward.
So...
I know people talked to Vonleh. I was very unimpressed with Vonleh. He was fine, but he seems like if they can get him for $5 million, maybe that's fine. I don't think he deserves a big contract. I don't think he's all that great.
So yeah, I'm gonna have a hard time answering this question until the Knicks get a power forward.
Maybe the point of this question was, who the hell's our power forward?
Right.
I mean, what's our starting lineup looking like? We have, I assume we'll add some free agents, but without the free agents right now, you have Mitchell Robinson at center. You have, I guess, Dennis Smith at point guard. You have, I guess we would put Dotson at shooting guard, put Barrett at small forward, and Knox at power forward.
Yeah.
And then pray no one realizes we can't play defense.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Knox is good at defense, but not Knox. I mean, Robinson is, but that's a tough line. The problem really is Knox is not a good defender, so it's really hard. Is Knox a starter?
I don't know.
It's
he
hard
will
to
be
say.
this season, but we got to see if he will end up being it.
The lines might change a lot throughout the year. They will change a lot throughout the year. You would think Barrett has a very good chance of being a starter right from the start, right away.
Yeah.
Knox, in some ways, could end up being the odd man out. I guess I don't know. His skill set seems tough to play with him and Barrett. Though Barrett's supposed to be a better defender than Knox.
Who cares? Play all the young guys. The team's gonna stink. Develop everybody and see what happens.
Yeah, I guess play the young guys, see how this goes. I guess this was also why calls for having a guy like Rubio would be very helpful to at least get the offense, have a good flow to the offense.
All right. Paulie writes, "Jay, we need you. Don't bail on us now. Is it your work schedule? The Knicks woes. Glad you enjoyed your sabbatical. Welcome back. Yeah, of course we'll make hate mail for that other guy. His random comments are annoying. But at the same time, he's clearly helping the show along. But he wants to be negative. Can you have the stay-at-home dad guy come back? Hey, Jay, you still have the Summer League to look forward to. Also, Mark, episode 467 at time 21:18, your wife's calling you. Hilarious. Keep up the great work and stay positive, guys. Take care. Thank you, Paulie. So it's not my work schedule. It is just, this is year 11 of the podcast.
Oh, God. You can't say this out loud, Jay.
And the Knicks have had one good season, and it's really just getting tough to talk about a team that has between 20 and 30 wins every season. It's just really, really difficult.
How is it possible we've done 10 seasons? There's been one good season. I know they made the playoffs they made the playoffs 3 times since we've done the show.
Yeah.
And only one of the seasons was really a good season, the 54-win season.
Yeah, they got swept once.
Twice. They got swept by Miami and Boston.
Oh, I thought they lost in 5 in one of those.
Oh, maybe you're right. They beat Miami one of the games, and then
the balloons dropped. Yeah,
the balloons dropped.
So the playoffs 3 times, but 2 of those we totaled a record of 1-8. 1-8, and then he made it to the second round, and then JR did his thing.
It's been a long time, yes. So anyway,
and
now
the
second decade of the show will be much better than the first decade of the show.
The thing is, the seasons that the Knicks didn't make the playoffs, they didn't even come close.
Yeah. I mean, we've been in this weird rebuilding mode for a while, but not really rebuilding. This is finally rebuilding, I guess. You can't count Phil Jackson's tearing out the team and then not building a team as a rebuild, right?
No,
that was not a rebuild.
That was like an almost rebuild. But
no, he kept bringing in free agents. He was like, "Okay, let's rebuild, but I'm going to sign Derrick Rose or we'll trade for Derrick Rose, and I'm going to bring in Noah." That wasn't a rebuild.
Yeah.
So the rebuild really started when Perry got here, and you had to clear cap. You had to clear some bad contracts, and start drafting guys, and hope the guys start working out.
Okay, if you want to know why I am so upset with this show, Knicks record since we started doing the show. I'm just going to count the win totals. 32, 29, 42, 36, 54, 37, 17, 32, 31, 29, 17.
Those numbers are not bad unless you know how many games there are in a season.
Right. So the Knicks finished above 500 twice in the 10 years.
So we will get Dustin back on very soon.
And 1 out of those 2 times they had 42 wins. So.
Maybe we can have Dustin on next show to give us some. Well, we'll have Dustin very soon. Who he likes to put a positive spin on things, and so we need his positive spin.
Yeah.
Do you have any more emails? We have some more Facebook questions.
That is it for emails. Thank you, Paulie.
Jonathan writes, question for the next show. This question was from Monday prior to draft. I'm one of the fans that still wants Durant, but let's say we don't get him. We're not going to, so let's say we don't. And we strike out on all the superstars. Likely that's what's going to happen. What about signing Cousins, Randall, and Pat Beverly? Cousins maybe will accept a 1-year overpay contract to prove he can still be healthy. Randall just declined a $9 million option, so maybe he will accept a 1 year between $15 and $17 million. And Beverly maybe a contract in the range of $8 to $12 million, something like that. I know that is not a great team, but I don't like to see another 15 to 20 win team again. A starting five of Beverly, Barrett, Randall, Cousins, and Robinson doesn't sound that bad. And knocks in Dennis Smith, etc. from the bench. I don't know but if we can get players like that for 1 year deal, I'll say let's take a chance. What's the worst that can happen?
The fact that 2 of those contracts are 1 year contracts, I don't think is that bad.
Well, I think he said all 3 of them were going to be 1 year contracts. He was hoping.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean Beverly on a longer contract wouldn't be the worst, but
I think all 3 of those guys are going to. Well, the theory with Cousins is there's a chance he'll go to a bad team for a 1 year deal, so he can get a big if he signs a multi-year deal off his stretch with Golden State, he might not get a very good multi-year deal. So maybe he goes to another team, averages 20 points a game, then gets a big contract.
Right. I wouldn't be totally against doing something like that. I mean,
you wouldn't mind bringing in Cousins on a 1 year contract.
Yeah, he seemed like a good teammate in Golden State.
Were you in the locker room? How do you know?
Are you being sarcastic?
No, I'm just saying. How do you know he was a good teammate? I
He
hate
was
when people are like,
bench.
as if you know, like just because there wasn't a story about him cursing out his teammates doesn't mean he was a great teammate.
He was on the bench and he was cheering for his teammates. He wasn't pouting. Everyone seemed to be happy for him when he did good. Like it seemed like he got along with his teammates. Whereas,
Kyrie Irving.
Yeah, you could tell when somebody's a bad teammate. Like when Marbury would put the towel over his head and not talk to anybody. Like
Jimmy Butler.
Yeah, just not talking to people. Like it seemed like Cousins got along with everybody. And
do you think? I guess Cousins would be our power forward
or center. I mean, you could switch him and Robinson back and forth. It doesn't.
Or
matter.
you could play them next to each other. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess I don't mind that if it's a one. So of the three players, he's the only one I think is going to sign a 1-year deal. I think Beverly gets a multi-year deal. I think Randall's going to get a multi-year deal. I'd be surprised if either one of them don't get a multi-year deal. I don't want Randall.
I don't really want Randall either.
He's basically he's a lot of things that Cantor is Randall. People are talking about Randall. Maybe we'll get him like a 4-year, $40 million contract. He's a very solid offensive player, a gifted offensive player who's not very good on defense. He seems like he can shoot the three a little bit better than Cantor could, but he's mostly a post inside player, which was Cantor. If we didn't want Cantor, why do we want him?
Right. No, I'm just saying if it's 1 year and it's a position we have literally 0 players that play, I don't care. It's
okay. Of those 3 guys, do you think? Well, here's the question: do you think Beverly's going to sign for a 1-year deal?
No.
I think Randall's going to sign for a 1-year deal?
Maybe. I don't know the market on Randall.
And do you think Cousins is going to sign for a 1-year deal?
I think that would probably be the smart move, unless he really thinks his leg is really messed up and he just wants to cash in and hope it, then it doesn't matter if he gets injured again. But
right, the Knicks could give him like a 1-year, $20 million deal, which seems like a lot. But the Knicks, firstly, you have to spend 90% of your cap. So like the Knicks have to give out if the Knicks are going to do 1-year deals, they're going to have to give out big overpays for those 1-year deals.
Unless they just want to get a whole roster of guys who make like $8 million.
Right? What's the point?
What's the point of any of this?
I don't know. Anyway, I guess what's the point of even giving Cousins that deal if he's going to leave the following year, unless you're trying him out for a multi-year deal?
Well, like you said, you have to spend the money, and there's nobody else that's on the team.
I mean, if you're Cousins, you look at the roster and go, no one else is going to be that great on that team. I could probably score 20 points. I need an empty roster to score 20 points. I don't need it, but that's a good situation to score 20 points.
Yeah, I mean, I'd rather give some guy that we know isn't coming back next year a bloated 1-year contract than a guy we're just like so about, but giving him a 4-year contract just because we have the money. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'd rather have the cap space clear next year so we can find, like, if we can't figure out how to spend it wisely this year, let's just keep it for next year.
Unless I'm like happy about the contract, I don't want a long-term contract.
Right, and I get what you're saying with Rubio. If we're not going to develop a point guard anytime soon anyway, it might be very helpful to have a point guard.
Yeah,
I mean, the power forward thing, yes, we need a power forward. It's ridiculous.
And a shooting guard and a small forward. And
I have no idea. Until you just start developing. The roster this year should be all the young guys. Try to find some more reclamation projects. Would you bring back any reclamation project from last year?
Maybe Hazonia and play him at point guard?
Yeah. If I guess you're not signing a point guard, let's just see if Hazonia can play point guard. Why not? He had a good 3-game stretch last year, which is
which beats the best stretches of Frank and Smith. And
I mean, we watched. It was crazy because Ntilikina keeps trying to play point guard. Hazonia's like, let me get one shot at it. Does a triple-double. His first time at it.
He's like,
I don't think Hazonia's the answer at point guard, but like it just shows that how ridiculous our point guard crop is.
Yeah.
I would not bring back. I didn't see enough in Vonleh to like really warrant bringing him back. I know some people are high on Vonleh. I don't think he's that great. I didn't get the sense that he really made the team that much better.
No,
I think
he's one of those
everyone was
guys.
like, "Oh, he shoots a high percentage from 3. He shoots 2 threes a game. It's not a big deal."
Right. No, he's fine, but whatever. He's going to be one of those guys that's going to disappear from the NBA in like 2 years.
I don't think. I think Vonleh has a role. If you put him on goal, you put him on the Lakers, it'd be helpful to have. He's a solid role player. I just don't think he's going to be great on the Knicks. He's not a path to anywhere. He's not a starting point guard on power forward.
Right. I agree.
I don't want. Hazonia. Why not? Because I kind of like that point guard experiment. I don't want Moutier back.
Nope.
Is there anyone else that reclamation projects?
No.
And go find some others. Just go find some others for this roster, and then if you could, a Rubio could make sense, or if there's another free agent you really think could be a fit here, go for it. We're not getting any of the stars. I suppose Kawhi will meet with the Knicks. I saw, but why is he even showing up to meet with the Knicks? Just because he's like, hey, I just wanted a tour. See you guys later.
Yeah, I haven't been in New York in a while.
Yeah, he's going to stay in Toronto or go to the Clippers. If you're Kawhi, who's obviously hard to read, what do you do?
Stay with Toronto.
I agree. I mean, you have a much better path to the finals. Goes to the Clippers. Clippers will be definitely a contender for the finals as well. It's just Toronto's got a better roster.
You have to worry about exactly 2 teams in the East if you stay in Toronto.
Yeah, and you're also like the Toronto fans seem like pretty darn good fans.
Yeah, I mean, who do you have to worry about? You have to worry about Philly, who might lose 40% of their starting lineup, and Milwaukee, who might lose 40% of their starting lineup.
If you go to the Clippers, you are the second team in a city. You're not even like the first team in a state. You're the second team in a major city. That's fine.
And you have to worry about 7 other teams that legit have a shot.
Stay in Toronto. An entire country supports you.
Yeah.
You're the only team in the entire country. That's something.
Yeah.
And the Toronto fans just seem so... You're right. You have to go through Denver, Portland, the Lakers, I guess Golden State. Kings are getting better. There are a lot of decent teams there. I don't know why I threw the Kings in, but
I'd rather Oklahoma City, Houston.
Houston, obviously Houston. You go back to the East. You have the Bucks are getting better, or in theory they'll get better with Giannis having one more year under his belt. You have Philly, and their roster might be hurt this year. It's offseason, depending on what happened with Butler and
that's it.
Yeah,
that's it for the East. Boston's done.
I don't think even with the Oladipo coming back, Indiana's really going to compete with you.
Unless they get Rubio.
Why? Why is that going to make... Isn't Oladipo a point guard?
He's a shooting guard.
He's a shooting guard, I guess, but like...
It makes him better.
Yeah. 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 So whoever gets Rubio will be the big contender in the East.
It's sad, but it might be true.
I don't know. See, there's also an interesting move that Al Horford going to... supposedly he's going to Minnesota? Oh, no, sorry, going to Dallas? What do you think about Dallas?
I think Dallas might be a sneaky good team.
They got Doncic, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
They got KP. KP will not be as... I don't know what you expect from KP. KP's coming off his injury, so it'll take him a while till he's fully KP. But you still got KP. You got Horford next to... That's going to be a very interesting team.
Yeah. I guess they're going to lose Barnes, but Horford will make up for that.
Maybe get Barnes on a 1-year deal when he finds out there's no market for him.
Yeah.
No, actually, they're not going to lose Barnes. Barnes is not on the team. Remember Barnes went to the Kings.
Oh, right. Never mind.
And the Kings might just say, like, Barnes, this is ridiculous. We can't sign you to a multi-year deal except no one's coming, so just take the cap space.
Right.
I can't believe he'd get he turned down $25 million. It seems like a lot for him to turn down.
Yeah.
It's also a lot of teams have cap space this offseason, so maybe your agent says to you, listen, next year the teams aren't going to have cap space. You have to go this summer if you want to get a big deal.
Yeah.
Because a lot of teams are going to be like, well, we didn't use the cap space. Durant said no, so Barnes, max deal. If you're the Knicks, are you bringing Harrison Barnes?
No.
Golden State. What if he goes back to Golden State?
Wouldn't be a bad move.
Well, I don't think Golden State could sign him unless they don't get Clay and Durant.
Yeah.
Though I think if they don't get Durant, they still may not have the cap space. But so anyway, we'll see. Of the three of the guys, who would you like the most? Cousins, Randall, or Beverly on a 1-year deal?
Beverly.
Yeah, me too. Couple other questions and we're almost done here. Benjamin writes, celebrate. Still have a long way to go, but enjoy it. Getting Barrett.
Mm-hmm.
I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
What do you think Barrett averages in the first year?
I know you think it's over 20. I think.
Yeah, it's over 20. I guess we talked about this. Yeah. I think Barrett. I'm going to make the bold prediction: Barrett develops into a star.
All right. I hope you're right.
Yeah, this is not from studying game film. This is from just wanting to believe something's, just wanting to buy into the hype.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. Like, I found myself talking myself into the Barrett pick more and more, and I was like, am I talking myself in because I watched a lot of highlights of him being really good, or just because I'm just now reading good things about Barrett?
Yeah.
Kale writes, can you talk about your experiences as children following the Knicks? Got to be some interesting, if not sad, stories.
I mean, it was.
Do you want to see if that? I guess we could talk about that. I was going to say that might be a better off-season question, but go.
I was going to say it wasn't terrible because I started watching the Knicks in '91, so yeah, the Knicks were good for like the first 10 years I watched them.
We both had the Knicks in the '90s.
I mean,
so
the worst.
We're old people, so we both had the Knicks in the '90s. The Knicks were really good in the '90s. You know, they didn't beat the Bulls, but they still had a very, very good team.
They beat the Bulls the year Jordan wasn't there.
Yeah. Well, that it counts kind of. But either way, the '90s were So the '90s, the Knicks went to the finals twice. Like
I mean, the worst things was 8 points 9 seconds by Reggie Miller, Starks 2 for 18, and Patrick Ewing finger roll. The fact that we can, an entire decade, we have like 3 bad moments is a little bit of an improvement over what we deal with now on a daily basis.
Every year, you knew your team was going to win 50 games.
Yeah.
Which just forgetting even the playoffs. It just means most nights you're going to watch the Knicks, they're going to probably win the game. Which is just a fantasy of the last decade.
Yeah, they even won 60 one of those years.
Yeah. You just have a team that goes out every night, is a top team, has a very good chance of beating anyone on a given night. That just makes it for a very fun regular season. And then the playoffs, every year you're like talking about how far we'll go in the playoffs and can we get it done this year. Instead of like, maybe this year we'll make the 8th seed. What a coup that would be.
I mean, they had a legit shot. They pushed the Bulls to 7 games on, I think, more than one occasion.
There was that one year where they started off 2-0 against them in the playoffs and they blew it.
Yeah. So, I mean, they were right there. They were like what Phoenix Suns were in the early 2000s is what the Knicks were in the 90s.
So basically, that era of the 90s, that's where we really we both grew up basically in that era, and that was a pretty good era to follow the Knicks.
Yeah.
The last 20 years have been miserable, but basically since they've been to the finals, it's been miserable. But that was a very solid run.
This show wouldn't exist if the Knicks were like they were. If the Knicks back then were like they are now, this show wouldn't exist.
It would be if we were doing the 90s Knicks, like if we start from 1990 to start this show then, it would have been an awesome run.
Yeah.
Every year we'd be talking about, can we get it done? We'd be like, hey, can they find like one guy to pair with Patrick Ewing? Just like one player who's actually pretty good. Come on, anyone. Nothing against Oak. I meant on offense, really.
Yeah.
Like we got Patrick Ewing, and then we found some guy in the CBA to play with him. Jeffrey writes, if the only free agent we sign this offseason is this summer is KD, how many wins do you project for next season?
24.
I'm going to say 30. I am basing that on just wanting to be that as optimistic as I want to be. I can get to 30 wins.
Okay.
There's no reason on the positive side. This team. I don't know. We'll move on to the next question.
I just like how you said on the positive side and then had nothing.
There, in some ways, do you believe the Knicks were really tanking last year, or just
they just stunk?
Bad?
They were just terrible.
Yeah, I mean, because in theory, like guys like Mitchell Robinson will get a lot more minutes. That should help. In theory, you're moving off of the guys that can't play to the guys that really can. But then, who is? Grading Barrett.
Are there any more questions?
Yeah, 2 more. Evan writes, are the Knicks the favorites to win the Summer League? The starting 5 likely to be the actual NBA roster guys. Trier, Robinson, Barrett, Knox, and Ignis. Ignis is the guy from the second round.
It'll be fun.
Yeah, I mean, I'm stoked. I am so excited for that first game against.
I'm probably looking more forward to the Summer League team than the actual regular team.
I mean, I'm really looking forward to this game. First of all, tell me you're not dying to watch Zion actually play in like a semi-real game.
Yeah.
And then that and watching Barrett. Bobby writes, how do you rate the Knicks' moves in the second round and after the draft?
Pretty excellent. I mean, they moved up, what, 8 spots?
Something like that, yeah.
For some cash. Oh, Dolan's cash, so who cares?
What I really like about Perry is he seems like he's like, I guess he should be working to make this roster better. But he's not like, hey, I had a draft pick in the first round. Everything else doesn't really matter. He's like, I'm going to try to nail the second round pick. I'm going to try to find some like diamonds in the rough in free agency, like in undrafted free agency. He really wants to make this roster better, which is a lot more than Phil was doing.
Yeah.
So I give him a solid, not knowing enough about these players to know how good they're going to be. Just the effort alone, I'm going to give him a solid B+, A-.
Sounds fair to me.
What did we learn today, Jay?
We learned that the Knicks have sort of reloaded. We were excited about Summer League. nyknickspodcast@gmail.com. nyknickspodcast on Twitter. And
there was something we talked about right after the show last time, and I just wanted to bring it up with you, and then we can end the show. What do you think about? So Fizdale has been making a big thing about like bringing players to the finals, and like he also has a big thing about getting like past great Knicks and other motivational speakers to talk to the team throughout the year. How does that crap actually matter?
It might not, but I can't knock him for trying stuff.
Do you like him as a coach? Him trying to be the best friend and motivate you? Do you think he's the? What do you think of his overall first year?
He kept a terrible, terrible team playing hard.
So, I mean, hard. They won 17 wins. Like that's not playing hard. That's just like
they're terrible. They had a terrible roster. They had crappy players, but they were trying. You could tell when teams check out and they just want the game to be over. It looked like they were actually trying.
Okay.
So, like look at the game 78 of like the Phoenix Suns. They don't care. They're done. They're
right.
Completely done. And the Knicks were still trying to win.
Okay. Fair enough. No, I just want to get your view on that.
Yeah.
I wonder how much that stuff really helps. Like doing like, it was great when they had Patrick Ewing speak to the team. Like he was trying to get every player. Like I think he tried to get LeBron to talk to Knox. All those things are nice. I just wonder how much they matter. If like, it just seems like a lot of it's like new age management style. Like let's try all these things that like sound great, but they don't really matter.
They might not, but at least he's trying stuff.
Yeah, I guess Perry and Fizz like at least are trying stuff, which is like a lot more than a lot of guys in the past have done.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. We will be
Hey,
back
if you want to leave
soon.
us a voicemail, how do you do it, Jay?
I don't know. I just don't know. Record it and email it to us. nyknickspodcast@gmail.com.
Yes. So we're having issues with voicemail. So if you want to send us a voicemail, just make a voice recording. Email it to us. We'll play it like a voicemail.
You're 11. Can't
That's
figure out
where
voicemail.
technology is going on our show.
Yep.
Make a voice memo. Send it to us.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody.
Bye, love. Goodbye, everybody. It's all over. Goodbye. It's time to go. This is the end. Say goodbye. You better go away. I'm gonna leave you. It's the end. Goodbye. Goodbye. Just leave me alone.